So good afternoon all. Let me welcome the speaker of the day, the keynote speaker, Capt Meera Siddharth Dave, and other participants. And this is the first event of Shodh JNK chapter organizing for this year. And they used to have it in online, but now this is for the first time. Post-pandemic, the chapter has been they started organizing this event. And Mr. Shivendra Shantalya, the PhD scholar, he has taken over of the Shodh JNK chapter, and this is his first event. So I would once again, on behalf of all the participants, congratulate him, so that we'll continue to have more such events in the future. Just a brief introduction about the Shodh JNK. It is an effort to start a dialogue with the research community of Jammu and Kashmir to bring researchers and students from all disciplines, and one platform, and also provide an opportunity to take multidisciplinary and holistic approach to research for the development of society and nation. It utilizes these opportunities as well as the individual's efforts of researchers, academicians for a seamless exchange of ideas. So it is a sort of a scholars networking within the Jammu and Kashmir to work on various issues. And the topic of the day today, it is very interesting topic, and we, the Department of National Security Studies, is also honored to be part of collaborating with the Shodh JNK. And the topic of the day is the role of women in armed forces. It is a very interesting topic and rarely discussed in many of these academic debates, or even uh, focused on as a research topic, that what role that women can play and should play in the Indian armed forces in general, and Indian armed forces in particular. And we have had the distinction as compared to the other armed forces of the other countries, that we have had the rich heritage of women warriors and the queens and the rulers. They have fought valorous battles, and we have a rich history of that. Unlike the other countries where we hardly hear such stories of women going to the battle and leading the battle and emerging as a victorious and bring the victory for the motherland. And in this thing, that we could not find any better expert on this topic other than we have got fortunate to get Capt Meera Siddharth Dave. And thank you once again for accepting our invitation to deliver the keynote address on this topic. A brief introduction about Capt Meera Siddharth Dave. She is a veteran of Indian Army Ordnance Corps, and she basically from Gujarat, and also now an entrepreneur, educationist, and motivational speaker. She is an alumna of Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and has schooling from Triveni International Academy, Chennai, and post-graduation Biotechnology. Captain Meera also had been the torchbearer in leading Operation Sadbhavana, especially in program related to livelihood promotion and empowerment of women in Baramulla, which is a terrorist infested area in Jammu and Kashmir. So there is a connection, Captain Meera Dave, with the Jammu and Kashmir, and she has already served under the Operation Sadbhavana in Jammu and Kashmir. For her efforts, the then President of India, Srimati Pratibha Devi Singh Patel commended and applauded her. She was also facilitated by Media House, Bhaskar Group as Bhaskar Woman of the Year in the year 2012. She has been playing a pivotal role in motivating young boys and girls. As part of his endeavor, she has been nominated as Brand Ambassador of 4 NCC Battalion, Gujarat. After her very successful journey in corporate world, she is currently nurturing a startup in the field of education for the young students. Her entity, Mark Success, is working towards fulfilling the dreams of the students in education. She is also an aspiring agripreneur. In her public life, she is actively involved with Akhil Bharatiya Purva Sainik Seva Parishad, Sainya Matru Shakti, Rashtriya Sevika Samiti, Seema Jagran Manch. With this introduction, may I now request the keynote speaker, Captain Meera Dave, to share your thoughts and speak on the topic. Over to you.
कोच को बोलो ना म्यूट करके.
Namaste, Jai Hind, Professor Jagannathan, team of show JNK, Department of National Security Studies, Central University of Jammu, the students and the participants available in this seminar. Many thanks for inviting me on this very important topic which is related to national security studies of our country, the women in armed forces. I think the topic, it was started with Professor when we speak of women in armed forces, and especially when we speak of armed forces in Bharat, India. The first few, when we go back to our history, the name which rings in our mind is Jhansi Ki Rani. I'm sure every one of us very well resonates to the name, the Jhansi Ki Rani. But I'm sure many of us would not know the Viranganas of Bharat way beyond that. They were warrior queens, the Viranganas in Bharat before Jhansi Ki Rani as well. I thought of brushing up our history before we start on to the main course of the lecture. So I would just give you a few names. Mata Bhagkaur, I'm talking about before that is around 18th century. So Mata Bhagkaur, she was the only daughter of a prominent landowner in a village near Amritsar. And this ferocious Virangana, she led a group of 40 Sikh warriors against 10,000 soldiers of Mughal army in a battle of Muktasar. And one more speciality of this Virangana is she was also the Rakshak of Guru Gobind Singh while he was in his exile in Maharashtra. We go century still further when we talk about it. So when I speak of Mata Bhagkaur, I also get reminded of Rani Abakka. Rani Abakka, this I'm talking about the 16th century, somewhere around the late 16th century. Rani Abakka, she was from Chauta dynasty in a small coastal town Ulal, which was near Mangalore. And she single-handedly defeated the massive Portuguese army, and she restored Ulal from the Portuguese army. Few more to name, Onake Obawa, the wife of a guard in the Chitradurg fort. So just imagine, even a wife of a guard of the fort was such a Virangna. I mean, we can say Bharat had all the women of Bharat were Virangnas. They were warriors from within. I mean, they have to have a situation, and they're there to defend their motherland. They're there to defend their family, the nation. Onake Obawa, she single-handedly killed 100 men of the huge Hyder Ali army while he was ruling in the kingdom of Mysore. And I would also want at this stage to, when we're talking about the armed forces, one warrior queen, Indian warrior queen, her name is Belavadi Malamma. She was the first warrior queen in our history to have formed the army of women. 2,000 women soldiers, they contributed together, and she had raised an army back then in history. So we are very fortunate to be a part of this beautiful nation, Bharat. So now when we come to a bit of modern era, so around in 1888, we had women of Indian origin who took part in World War I, World War II. There were many women soldiers who had been a part of World War I, World War II. We all know Rani of Jhansi regiment during Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose when he led from the forefront. We all know about this regiment very well. Coming to the modern times, very much in the current times, when we speak about the Indian Army, Indian Armed Forces, The first entry was in the medical corps. So that was somewhere around 1950s when all the Army, Air Force, Navy, Medical Corps, they were combined together in the armed force, medical institutes. So it was around in 1958 we started the induction of women in AMC. 1991, Air Force started their induction of women in Air Force. In Air Force, they started the women officers in induction. 1992, Indian Army, they started inducting the women officers, and then slowly and gradually, first it was in medical corps. Then we started with different arms and branches like signals, ordnance. I am from the Ordnance Corps. So, with this note, I would just want to give a few details about the Army Ordnance Corps. And I'm very happy that we have this lecture today because today is a very important day in Army Ordnance Corps history. Today is our Corps Day. Army Ordnance Corps Day. It is 247th Army Ordnance Corps Day. So my corps, my unit is 247 years old, and today is our Corps Day. We can say we got raised, we got formed on this day. So it is a very important day in my life as a women officer. So I'm very happy we have this seminar arranged today on this very important day. So as I was mentioning, in 92, when Indian Army started inducting women officers, it was then ordnance, signals, engineers, education, EME. So these were all different kind of branches which slowly and gradually, one after the other, they started opening and inducting women officers. After that, in 2008, we got permanent commission to women officers in the legal branch and education branch. Yes, in medical corps, women officers had permanent commission back when they had started in 50s. And we all know the landmark judgment in 2020 February when the Indian Army women officers got permanent commission in different arms, which I just mentioned, that is other than the legal and education branch. So it was a very important landmark historic day, that is February 2020, when the permanent commission was granted to all different branches to the women officers. Unlike male officers, they have their commissioning as and when they get commission in different kind of entries, they are granted permanent commission, which was not the case with women officers. But slowly and gradually, as the times have changed, as the roles have changed, it has become important why we should have women at a specific role in the armed forces as well. And that is why we, in 2020 February, the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court, passed this judgment of giving permanent commission to the women officers in Indian Army. So while I say this, there are many women officers who have performed not only in the peace areas, but in the difficult terrains, in the combat zones as well. We very well know about Lieutenant Colonel Mitali Madhumita, who got Sena Medal Gallantry Award in 2011 as well. This was in Afghanistan, Kabul. You would also be very happy to know about Assam Rifles. We all know about Assam Rifles, which is there in the northeast side. They inducted the first batch of 100 female soldiers in 2016. So, we never ever had imagined in these current times of armed forces that women can work, can serve the nation in such difficult terrains as well. In 2020, we had 30 rifle women in Assam Rifles which were deployed in the LOC as well. So this is this basically general background which I wanted to give you on the women officers in armed forces. We all very well know about the fighter pilots now very much in the Air Force. No one is I mean I would hardly find anyone who is bereft of the names now. So this is the kind of importance, this is the kind of metal which the women officers have proved, have shown in the armed forces. When I talk about myself, I would want to give a little brief and background about myself. I am totally from a non-army, non-Fauji background. So, a non-Fauji background girl from Gujarat, which is not, you would find Gujarat is much towards the business-oriented community because of the geopolitical situation and the region where it is. But when I joined army, it was it was a training actually which molds you in a manner. Okay, when I come to the part of training, I would just want to give a bit details of the training as well. The training is of around a year, to be more specific, 11 months. And now, when we know that the doors of National Defense Academy has been opened by Supreme Court for the girls for the Indian Army, Air Force, and Navy, so you will have 3+1, that is 4 years of training as well. So I got commission from Officers Training Academy, Chennai. There's a rigorous training, both while you have your academics. We had 21 subjects to study in our academics. We are totally being prepared on the tactics, on the education, map reading, and historical part. I mean, there are many different subjects because as an officer, you lead your men during the war times. So the officer is bound to have the knowledge of the entire area, the knowledge of their people, and the Jawans, they look up to their officers. So that kind of responsibility when an officer performs, the academy trains the officer for any and every situation put in front of him or her. So that comes academics, and then we are trained rigorously, physically, and more so mentally. Why I am putting more emphasis on mental part of the training is that because as a normal college going girl, when I completed my post graduation and I was selected for the Indian Army, you have to be prepared. As I mentioned, you have to be prepared for any and every kind of situation, physically, mentally, tough situation. I didn't know, my mental block didn't know that I thought I could run only 5 kilometers. But while in my training, while in the academy, my mental block was, I was taken a step further when I came to know I could even run 40 kilometers, and 40 kilometers, 25 kilometers, that is with a weight of 15 kg, 5 kg of rifle, and you have to complete the entire run in a stipulated time. There are many such more incidences. I can always narrate as and when if we can have it in our discussion part as well. So academy trains you mentally so much strong that the physical barrier is almost gone. That is what is the basic motivation. That was the basic motive behind the training, specific training of the academy. So after I completed my training, the mandatory training of academy from Officers Training Academy, I was posted to a very difficult zone at the Pakistan-India-Rajasthan border near our unit. And I was the only women officer being posted there, and I was commanding 300 men. So now you can imagine why the training in the academy has to be rigorous, specific, up to the mark, because you are put in a situation you don't know, but you have to come out as a winner from that situation. So that is what is the main thing. My next posting was in Jammu Kashmir, so that is where I relate to all of you a lot. And it's not that because we are having a seminar from Central University of Jammu today I'm saying so, but it is very much close to my heart. This posting was a very sensitive, very emotional, very learning posting for me. As Professor Jagannath also mentioned in my introduction about Operation Sadbhavana. So Operation Sadbhavana was a very important project which I was handling in Baramulla. I'm sure all of you from Jammu and Kashmir are aware of the region Baramulla. So I was posted there, and it is a hard field area because of the insurgency, because of the terrorism out there. We are armed 24/7 there, and so when we talk about the role of women in army, so it is not only restricted to the peace areas down in the cities, but we also work in such sensitive and difficult areas as well. So when it comes to Baramulla, Operation Sadbhavana, there are many different facets of Army, Air Force and Navy. Why I'm mentioning this is not, I mean, if a layman or a general civilian would understand that फौज क्या करती है, वो लड़ाई करती है और क्या कभी कुछ काम आ जाए, कभी कुछ वॉर हो जाए, अभी यूक्रेन में हो रहा है, अफगानिस्तान में हुआ, तो that is what is the role of army? No, no, not at all. Why I say that we have a multiple role to play. One such example I want to give of myself is during my posting in Baramulla. So Operation Sadbhavana, as the name suggests, it has something related to the civilian folk, the civilian part there in the Baramulla, wherein I was handling this project of the local women of Baramulla, and who unfortunately had lost their sole bread owners of the house in this terrorist activity. So how we thought to empower these women, because now they are the only bread earners in their house, in their home. And we all know that Kashmir has so much within their blood, the artistic flavor of weaving, of different kind of weaves. So that is where we thought that this can be taken up, and ये जो हुनर है उनका और थोड़ा तराशा जाए, जो उनके empowerment के लिए use किया जाए. So that is where Operation Sadbhavana, my role came in, and we had them trained from Usha Fashion Designing School, a proper course curriculum. They had to pass their exams, and at the end of that, we gave them a sewing machine so that they can work on their own, start earning on their own for their family, and have that confidence that they can run a family. A woman can always run a family, leave aside, but this is one another part of women which I'm trying to show you. So that was a beautiful role, and it was around 150 women under me who got empowered then. And such beautiful was the relation with this woman is that while I completed my 2 years of posting, the gift which I got from them was a salwar suit which was stitched by one of the lady. Pehli baar, it was the first time she had stitched a cloth, but as she had learned from the institute, and all of them in a group, they had gifted me that salwar. I still have that salwar suit with me because that has an emotion, a bond which is attached to it. So such is the multiple phase you find of armed forces, which has balance in every different part of the society, because that balance is required for the nation to grow in every manner, from the safety concerns, security concerns, humanitarian ground concerns, in every manner. So that was a beautiful part of Baramulla as well. And after that, I had my different postings in Jabalpur and Dehu Road. And you know what I want to mention here, the best part of being in army, I always say that army is not a profession, it is a way of living. So the best part of the way of living here in army is that every day you have a new chapter to write about your journey, about your life. Trust me, in my entire career of Indian Armed Forces, while I was in the uniform in Indian Army, no single day was the same. And that was the beauty of serving in uniform. Every day you have new things to learn, new challenges to conquer upon, and you have a new chapter to write in your life. Now, when we are approaching the modern era, we have moved a step further from hand-to-hand combat to that of the technology part. And women officers, and we not only officers, we have women down in the PBR section as well, in military police, as I mentioned, in Assam Rifles. So the day is not far when, since the technology is going so much fast, there are wars, there are confrontation, which is more technology based. So I always say, a drone in the sky, your AK-47 INSAS in your hand, doesn't know whether it has been driven or fired by a male or a female. It only sees the efficiency of the firer or of the operator of that drone. So we are so much technology driven now that I've been asked many a times how are women role in the women in combat role in armed forces. So this is the new era. This is the new coming that the combat roles have the technology dependency, and when it is technology dependency, it is not only the physical strength, but your mental ability, agility, your swiftness, your coordination, your efficiency is what counts. And women officers have proved their mettle very much in every part of it. So, I mean, more so, I wanted to ask Professor Jagannathan also that more than this being a monologue or a lecture kind of a thing, I wanted to interact with the students, the professors, the faculty more on this topic. And I'll be happy if I could quench their thirst of their questions, queries on this topic. I have many other things to go on, but when it comes as a dialogue, I think it becomes much more interesting. So if we can do that way, I think that will also be wonderful. We are unable to hear you, Professor Jagannathan.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for that excellent presentation. You have brushed bright canvas, starting from the historical insights, how women from Bharat, various parts of the Bharat have been, part of this army and led the battles and the wars. You mentioned most of these unsung heroes, which we hardly many of the students would have heard or studied in the history book. And we do have in this part of the world, Kota Rani, she was a queen and fought a hard battle to took back her reign.
If you want, we can have a separate session on the Virangnas of our
So we will have
Bharat as well. That can be a separate session.
Sure. What is more interesting that today we had is that the experience that you have shared with us from various postings that you have encountered, and I think the participants will have more questions and queries to ask or some share their thoughts. Now I request Shivendra to collect some questions, and the floor is now open. And I request the audience, the participants, to raise their hands. So we'll go one by one.
Sure.
Or you can drop the questions in the chat box. So before that, let me start with the question to you, Captain Dave. You mentioned about the women's role in combat, women's role in the Indian Armed Forces, particularly in the combat role. There are a lot of debates happening on that, even within the army. That the women, there are debates that saying that arguments that women are not yet prepared for such roles. But if you look at the international thing, that we have seen Israelis having this, the Israeli Defense Force (IDF), they have these women soldiers, and they are all posted in these both combat roles, even counterterrorism roles. So, what is your take on that? That women should be deployed in even the counterterrorism or sensitive, most risky operations?
So, Professor Jagannathan, as I mentioned, why did I start from our Virangnas of our history? The reason was that it is already there in our blood. We just need to refresh it and we need to rebrush it. So, having said that, the structure of the armed forces is designed in such a manner that women officers were not there in very much of the combat role forefront. But as I said, now the times are different. Now it is more technology oriented. We didn't have women officers in Army Air Defense Force, which we have now. We didn't have women officers in the fighter pilot roles, which we have now. So now we have come up a long way. As I said, the history was very much different when we had all our Virangas, and unfortunately, so after that, things were disturbed in between. But when you have it within yourself, within your genes, it doesn't take much more time to revamp back and reload back, as we say 2.0. So it is in that manner. And having said the combat zones, I mentioned myself while I was in a hard field area, we have women officers much about in Leh, Ladakh, northeast areas. My first posting was near the border area of Pakistan and Rajasthan. So there are many different roles which come, and as I mentioned, that it is a step further now from hand to hand combat, from that to more technology weaponry which is into place now, and which will discriminate male and women. So I think that answers the question, that combat roles. I think more so the combat role definition has changed in a bigger perspective.
Yeah, right. You also rightly put it that way that the machine gun, the guns or the machines doesn't know who is firing, whether the male or female. They're firing like
Absolutely.
that. It depends on the efficiency, the mind. Like you say that the warfare is the warfare is changing now. We are
As
instead
a
of
woman, as an officer, I just wanted to add one point here. As an officer, since I'm an officer, while I am leading my men, it is not that since I'm a woman, I'll not teach them how to fire a weapon. I have taught my men in all my postings how to fire a weapon, the drill and the entire exercise when we are there in exercise. So it is the weapon, it is the machinery, and you have to be efficient enough to run that machinery. So that's what it is. And your men respect you when you are good at your work, and that is what matters.
okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Is there any questions? Yeah, we have got a question from PhD scholar. He asking that the current percentage of women in the forces. And if there is any data probably available on any site to read more about what is the rough idea about how much percentage that the women are in the Indian Armed Forces. Do you have any statistics? I think this is more related to statistics.
Yeah,
Or
it is
maybe
more related.
they
Yeah.
are more into statistics, or maybe he maybe want intend to ask that we are talking about when it comes to representation in the parliament that there is a figure like 33% should be allotted to women. Do you think that is there any such sort of things that the army should have this much particular percentage of women in various roles, like not to be a combat roles?
It's a very good question. Why I say it's a very good question is that I'm very happy that we are having this lecture in the Department of National Security Studies. So you all are very much aware of the importance of security of a nation. So when we speak of security of the nation, we should not take anything lying low, whether it is in the name of technology, its men, its officers, maybe may it be a male or a female. And that is why Indian Armed Forces is the only organization which does not have any kind of reservation, because you're talking about the security of your nation. If here you start having any kind of reservation, may it be gender, may it be any strata, any kind of reservation, you are compromising on the security of your nation. What we want is the bestest of the best, the creamiest of the cream, and the fittest of the fittest. So that is the kind of personal, that is the kind of the machinery, that is the kind of the equipment a nation needs when we talk about the security of the nation. So answering this particular question, I would want to say is that no, the armed forces in general, when we are talking about the security, should not have any kind of reservation, because we don't want to hamper our security. We need only the best of everything. And I'm very happy and I'm very proud to say that Indian Armed Forces has one of the best lots, made by the officers, made by the Jawans, the PBOR, the equipment, everything. And I would assure that we are in safe hands everywhere.
Thank you, ma'am. Any more questions? We'll just wait for questions. Please raise your hands or drop your questions in the chat box. Participants, if you want to ask any questions, please raise your hands or you just drop your questions in the chat box.
Do we have NCC in our university here?
Yeah, we have started with the women, the girls battalion NCC here. In fact, in our university, Central University of Jammu, the majority of them are girls. The students ratio, the majority of them are girls. So we started with this NCC battalion here
Great,
in
great.
Central University of Jammu. I think 2 years back we started this. Just before the pandemic, we started. And
Great.
also, I have seen as a being also NCC cadet. You also mentioned that you were now he was in the NCC. And across the country now, there are a lot of women. Earlier, the female cadets mostly they take them for some cultural activities or some sort of other courses. But now I see more of them, most of them are now into most attending this like attachment camps.
Yeah.
Well, earlier there are very few girls were selected or even interested in doing attending those camps. Now we could see a lot of interest and enthusiasm from the girls cadet as well. For your information, in our department, the MA students who joined, just last month there were 4 girls. They have gone for an SSB, and they are very
Oh,
seriously
wonderful.
preparing for the SSB to crack. And 3 of them have gone up to conference, and they are very determined
Wonderful.
and focused.
Wishing them all the very best. As I say, I always mention on this topic, I would just want to put an important information for your students as you have NCC and you have students who are aspiring to join the armed forces. The entire process of getting selected in the armed forces, I'll talk about army in particular, having passed through it myself. It is a very tough nut to crack. As I mentioned, that we need the bestest of the best lot. So the kind of assessment, the examination also has to be equally tough, and it has to be formed or formulated in that manner. So it is like if you are appearing for, if I talk about the recent times, there were around 5 lakh odd applications for the NDA. That was the first part. And only like if I talk when I to back in 2005 when I had appeared, we had around 1.5 lakh of application for that year, and only 70 of us could get selected after clearing the written exam, the 5 days of interview which assesses you physically, mentally, psychologically, and then medically. So from head to toe, everything is being checked that you have to be physically fit to undergo such a rigorous training and then further lead your men. So from around 2 lakh odd application, only 70 of us back then in 2005. Now the competition has increased a lot in a big number. So the percentage of selection is so less because you want the perfect one who can get fit into the requirement. So if your students are really working that hard and if they are able to clear this, I think this is the most toughest exam you pass through. And once you pass through it, it's a learning in itself. You learn, you become as a different kind of a human being, and it will always help you further in your life as well.
Yeah, thank you. And one more question from Siddharth. He's asking that, Madam, you have mentioned about Operation Sadbhavana and you worked in most sensitive terrorist infected district, Baramulla. It is equally dangerous and risky, equivalent to the even the combat forces. And the Operation Sadbhavana is aimed at winning the hearts and minds of the local people, and especially
Absolutely.
in Jammu Kashmir. So, could you please share any other interesting thing that you have encountered while you are thing working on this Operation Sadbhavana?
Many of it because it was a long period of 2 years I had spent with the entire project, and Then my GOC was General Atta Hasnain. I'm sure you would have heard this name. He is a stalwart. He was my GOC then. And during this entire period, we had a Bharat Darshan tour of this women of the institute in Operation Sadbhavana, and we had taken them to from Baramulla, Srinagar, Delhi, Agra, Jaipur, and back. It was a 15 days long tour, and the satisfaction was the happiness, the confidence, the satisfaction in the eyes of those girls and women to see where how their Bharat has grown, that they are the part of this such beautiful, prestigious Bharat. This one of this important part of Operation Sadbhavana is that they connect. I mean, we all know how there had been a disconnect, unfortunately, so in the past times. But the government then, the armed forces then has continuously, the local people there has continuously made a strong, sincere effort to have this jail back. And one of this important part of Operation Sadbhavana was that connect, that happiness, that inclusiveness of all those women, that this is where, this is the proud Bharat to which they belong to. So that was a very successful trip of those 15 days when they saw entire part of it. And it always say that you teach a man, you teach a man, but when you teach a woman, you teach an entire family. So you all are from the education background and you would echo the sentiments of mine. And I think that is where Operation Sadbhavana made a very impactful impression, which was very positive, not only for that particular woman, but for the entire family and further going on to the community as well.
Thank you. This will be the last question, I guess. Steve Raja is a PhD scholar. He's asked, there's a news about the contractual appointment of women in the Indian Army. So contractual appointment. So how does it affect the women recruiters or the prospective women recruiters or aspirants?
Why only specific women? See, when it comes to the contract, currently, which there's a lot in news about the 3 years of contract-based recruitments, which is there doing rounds in the news. Why only female? It will be for male and female both of it, right? So that is number one. Number two is see, there are many different angles to what you see to it. But what I personally feel the positive part of it would be when every citizen would get connected to the uniform, in turn gets connected to the belongingness to the nation, that pride, that importance, that responsibility of securing your nation comes. I always say that a teacher and a doctor also play equally important role in the nation's security, in the growth of the nation. But when I'm specifically talking about the people when they wear their uniform, there is a different kind of specific response, a conscious responsibility which comes into your mind, and you are aware in that manner. So if something like this happens wherein the citizens, and by this I think maximum the majority of the citizens can be a part of being a responsible soldier who is working towards securing the nation, I think that will be a very good thought process. Yes, there are many different ways to think on it, and there is a lot of manthan going on. We all know about it. But yes, I'm very happy that as a citizen, you are also thinking about this, and let's get the best out of whatever is coming as a initiative. So I think this is one of the positive part of this initiative.
Okay, I think with this last question that I bring this today's discussion to an end, and I really thank you so much, Captain Dave, for joining us and sharing your experience and thoughts and also insights about the role of women in Indian Armed Forces. And we have had a very good participants from the Central University of Jammu and also from other institutes from Jammu region, Jammu and Kashmir region as well, scholars and students. I think they hope they benefited from your insights and your experiences. Now I hand over to Shivender. He's looking after the show Jammu and Kashmir chapter for his formal vote of thanks. And before handing over, I would like to mention that, and we look forward to have you here soon to have much more broader debate and discussion on this particular
Sure.
topic, which is a very interesting and I think.
Sure.
Thank you so
And
much.
you have chosen a wonderful day being Chaitra Navratra. So I wish everyone a Shubh Chaitra Navratra, and today is Saptami. So when you are talking about women, Mata se aur bada kaun hai? So we take inspiration from Mata today, Chaitra Navratra also. And we wish that we all get the strength to move ahead and progress our nation in all the manners. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Over to Shivender for formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am, for your insightful speech, and you have also answered many questions from our participant. Uh, First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Dr. J. Jagannathan, sir. So he is someone who always ready for such initiative. He has given me the idea that let us do this event, but I don't. We are very happy, ma'am, that you have accepted our invitation, since you are we have followed you on different platforms and different news channels, different interviews, but it is honor to be it is I am we are very delighted that you have accepted our invitation. And because we have seen your speeches in many public places and YouTube channels, but this time you have accepted our invitation, and you have also interacted with our indirectly with our students. You have questioned you have answered their question very amicably. So thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, Department of National Security Studies, for taking this initiative. And Shodh Jammu and Kashmir will always be very delighted and happy to have organizing this kind of events. And thanks to all the participants who have joined from not only in university, from all over the different parts of the country. And there are many participants who were not able to join us because they were not means they were not used to have Cisco used this new app Cisco WebEx. So we will be uploading this video, this session to our YouTube channel within this week, so that ma'am's lecture will be available to all of you. And with this, I would like to request Honorable Sir and ma'am, so that we should finish program for today's program. And we'll, as Jagannathan sir said, that ma'am, we are looking forward for more interaction, not online, offline. So thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you all the
much.
participants.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And also, we would like to have Siddharth ji as well. He's also a very good speaker on border and border issues. So thank you so much.
Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.